Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. I am standing on a yoga mat. If you don't have one, don't let that stop you. A carpeted area that's not too slippery is going to be fine. I like to have a chair for balance and just stability. So you might bring a chair into the mix as we practice today. The other thing is a couple of blocks. Maybe you've got some thick books that could be a substitute, and a folded blanket, which could be the throw blanket from your couch, or a nice beach towel or thick bath towel. We'll get started, as we often do, in our bedrock pose of mountain pose. Tadasana, it's called. Let your feet be hip distance apart. If you position yourself with the short edge of your mat facing me, or what would be the short edge of your mat facing me, I think that's going to be easiest for you to see what's up. I'll move around and let you know that I'm moving around so that I can accommodate your best view. Turn your palms away from one another with your feet hip distance and a soft bend in your knees. Feel the crown of your head extend into the heavens and your feet sink into the earth. Chin parallel to the ground, so you're gazing at what I like to call our bright horizon. And then try to breathe in and out through your nose. Ideally, that's true from now until the end of our practice together. Of course, breathe any way that you can, but try to breathe with awareness. Deep inhales. Complete exhales. Staying with that soft little bend in your knees, take your fingertips all together. So you're making like a little dome out of your hands. And then we're going to play with this as a little game. So you'll bring your hands together and then bring them into your dome. Go back and forth. We forget that our hands have muscles. We forget that our hands need to be able to open wide and not just assume the position of being on a keyboard. So we're going to use our hands quite a bit today in our practice and focus on them as mobility, so that means movement, and stability, because sometimes we're on our hands and knees and we want our hands to function when there's either our body weight or the weight of our groceries that we're carrying or our grandchildren or whatever else we want to do that involves a nice firm grip. So we'll take a few more moments here. You can probably start to feel that you have muscles in your hands and make sure that you're still breathing as we do this. Great. Now, take your arms apart like a little bit of a cactus and make a fist. And then open. A fist and open. Keep going with that. You can go faster or slower, but what I ask is that it be a complete fist and open. And I don't know about you, but I'm starting to feel that I have muscles in my hands and, as it turns out, in my forearms, right? In a style of yoga called Kundalini, they do a lot of this kind of thing. You might explore Kundalini sometime in your free time. Now keep breathing and keep making your fists and growing strong in your hands and forearms. Do make sure that it's your hands and forearms and not sneaking shoulders into ears. I know that's a habit that I have, and you might too. We want to let our hands steal the show today. Last couple moments. And then release. Take your arms along your sides, palm face out. Do you feel that buzz of energy in your hands and forearms? Pretty cool, huh? Sun salute A. Inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands onto your thighs. Inhale your heart forward. Notice your hands in a different way against your thighs because of what we've done today. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips, and then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Float your arms alongside your body. Again, inhale, arms out and up, a V shape, and then exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands onto your thighs. Inhale, heart extends, get longer through your spine, and then exhale, hinge at your hips. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, wide open hands, right? and then float your arms alongside you, palms face out. Last time, inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands, feel them against your thighs, wide open. Inhale, heart extends, and then exhale, hinge at your hips and fold. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Float your arms alongside you. Now, step out wide on your mat, and if you don't have one, just imagine that you have a wide stance on your mat. Take your thumbs to the sky, wide open hands like we've been working. So everything old is new again. If you do these practices with me often, we do some of these poses a lot, but when we bring awareness to things like our hands, then the same pose feels really different, doesn't it? Think about if we did that in life. The same chores or things that we do become enlightened with newness. That's pretty cool. That to me is yoga. Now turn your right leg out from your hip so that your right foot faces what would be the short edge of your mat, or is the short edge of your mat, and then cheat your left heel at a 45-degree angle. Keep your jazz hands and thumbs to the sky. Bend your front knee, just make sure that there's a vertical line from your right knee to your right ankle, and then arms overhead, a V shape. Bend your front knee. Arms overhead, a V shape. We're going to add to it. Make fists now as you bend your front knee. Open your hands as we straighten the front leg with a V shape. Fists with your hands as we bend the front knee. Open your hands wide and straighten your front leg, a V shape. Fists with your hands. Arms overhead, a V shape, thumbs to the sky. And then fists with your hands, stay here and open your hands. So we have the jazz hands, thumbs to the sky. You're letting your right hip hug underneath you, your right thigh bone move to the right. Outer edge of your back foot is solid and the arch is lifted. If your arms get tired, you can lower them and bring them back up anytime. And we're going to do one different thing for a moment. Take your arms in front of you like you're going to give somebody a hug. And now take the backs of your hands together and press your hands together with the backs of your hands here. It's a different articulation at our wrist. So a lot of times we're in what's called wrist extension. This is some wrist flexion, just gently pushing it together. Our wrists, you might know, are connected to our hands and our forearms. They're sort of like the in-between, aren't they? So we want to let our wrists have a little bit of the fun here too. Last thing, extend your arms out, thumbs to the sky, and now just make little circles. If it's too long with the knee bent, you can always straighten it and rebend and then make your circles the other way. Keep breathing. And now thumbs to the sky, V shape, straighten the front leg and float your arms alongside you. All toes, turn towards the long edge of your mat and then rotate at your left hip, left foot facing the short edge, back heel at an angle, bend your front knee, thumbs to the sky. These are our jazz hands. We want to make sure that the left hip is hugging underneath you. There's a lift to your low belly, so we're not ignoring the rest of the pose, even as we kind of nerd out a little bit on our hands here. Now make fists, and then open the fists and straighten the front leg. Make fists as we bend the knee. Straighten the front leg. V-shaped thumbs to the sky. Our hands are open wide. Bending and straightening. Bending and straightening. Make sure the thumbs are to the sky as you open your hands wide and straighten that front leg. One more time. Now stay here in our warrior stance. Hug that left hip underneath you. Open your hands now wide. So we have the jazz hands here in our warrior pose. And then we'll take the backs of the hands together and press. Called flexion at the wrist. You don't have to know that, but we do want to make sure that we do this from time to time, because maybe we don't, right? But then when we do, it heightens the awareness. Stay for a couple breaths and make sure there's real, live, honest to goodness breathing going on. Straighten your arms out to the side and make circles. So remember, thumbs stay to the sky and then circle the other way. Pause for just a moment. Straighten your front leg, V-shaped thumbs to the sky. Float your arms alongside you. turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. Mindfully, heel toe, till your hip distance. So even our movement of things like props, we're making our way to the floor or to the front edge of our mat, mindful movement. Make your way to the front of your mat. Feet hip distance, inhale, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands on your thighs. Inhale your heart forward. You might use your chair to come to the ground. Remember, all of this, very mindful. I'm going to move my chair a little bit out of the way, and then I would highly recommend for this next part to have your folded blanket or your folded towel at the ready so that we can come hands and knees upon some padding. Now we're nerding out on our hands, so we're going to continue to do that. And now our hands are weight bearing. So with your hands, when you're on your all fours, as we are now, you want to have your shoulders over your wrists so that your wrists are not in too much of this extension that we were talking about. And you're also not so far forward that your shoulders are going to come up into your ears. So shoulders over wrists, low belly lifting. I like to keep my toes curled under, especially because I know what's coming next. So find your breath here, push into your hands, and your hands are spread wide. So let's keep nerding out on that hands spread wide and all the muscles in our hands. Even here as they're on the floor, helping us to balance. Step your right foot back. You're flirting with a plank. Your hands have even weight, even though there's something different happening in your legs now. Great. A couple moments like this, and then right knee down, left foot steps back and flirts. You might be feeling the muscles in your hands, even a little something maybe in your wrists and your forearms. So all the things that we did without bearing weight are now assisting us here as we're weight bearing. Left knee next to right knee. Come kneeling and make some circles with your wrists, sort of like we did in our Warrior II not so long ago. And then we go the other way. Reverse the circles. We'll head back to our plank. So hands and knees, all fours. Remember, shoulders over wrists. Step your right foot back and either stay like this as we did together the first time, or step your left foot back too, and now you're in plank, and your poor little hands and wrists and forearms are supporting you, right? They're not poor little, they're strong and empowered. Left knee down, right knee down, a little kneel, a little circle. You can reverse the circle a few times. Back to hands and knees, shoulders over wrists. Left foot steps back, and that's plenty. If you'd like, right foot steps back also. And now we are in a full plank, some of us, if that appeals to you. And then right knee down and left knee down. Come kneeling. Once you're kneeling, step your right foot forward. And we're now in a low lunge. Traction your right heel towards your left knee, so you've got a little bit of oomph in the legs. Thumbs to the sky, arms out to the side. So here we are with our jazz hands, and let's remind ourselves, make a fist and open, make a fist and open. One more time, a fist and open. I like to keep my back toes, my left toes curled under. That helps to support my knee along with this blanket that's underneath. So just always think you want to make things so that they're agreeable for you. Now with your thumbs to the sky and our big wide open jazz hands, turn, turn, turn to your right. You'll find a sticking point and you'll just breathe there. Keep your thumbs to the sky, shoulders out of the ears. Every inhale, grow a little bit taller, and every exhale, find a little bit more twist in the torso. Keep tractioning your right heel back towards you, your left knee towards your right foot. They're not going to move anywhere. And then let's make our fists here. So a fist and open, a fist, open, a fist and open. One more time, fist and open. And then turn, turn, turn towards the front edge of your mat. Take your hands onto your hips. And then carefully, right knee, hip distance from the left knee. Right. left foot forward. We get situated in our low lunge. Before we add anything to it, you can just keep your hands on your hips for the time being and feel the left heel draw back like it's trying to make its way to your right knee. And maybe you even feel underneath your hands that that's cueing some stability in your hips. Arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Here we are with our jazz hands wide open. And we'll remind once again the muscles of our hands to work as we make fists and open. Fists and open. Fists and open. One more time. Traction the left heel and the right knee towards each other so we have that stable feeling as we add a twist to the left. Thumbs stay to the sky. Turn, turn. You'll find a place where it just doesn't go any further. That's fine. We're careful not to shrug our shoulders into our ears. Every inhale grows us tall. Every exhale takes us just the teensiest bit more into our twist. And then we will add fist and open. Fists and open. Fists and open. One more time. Fists and open and pause. Slowly unwind. Thumbs stay to the sky. And then bring your hands onto your hips. Carefully, left knee, hip distance from right knee, and we're kneeling. We'll set up. I'm trying to figure out how to situate myself actually to make sure that you can see me. I'm going to turn around this way so that you can see. We're setting up for a modified side plank, which is going to be supported by one of our hands. So make sure that your right knee is on your blanket. Keep your right toes curled under, and then left foot on its side. So let me scoot so that I'm still on my mat. My right hand is down, my right knee is down, my left foot is on its side. In a way, this looks a little bit like our Warrior 2 did, if you think about it. Now we want to nerd out on our right hand, so spread it wide. Take your left hand onto your hip and hug your right hip underneath you a little bit like our Warrior 2. This is plenty, and if it's a little bit wobbly, just look down. It's kind of fun to look down anyway, especially as we're focused on our hands. You want to make sure that that inner part of your right hand, so the right thumb knuckle and index knuckle, those are pressing, yeah? And then it almost feels like you're lifting up off of your wrist with the muscles in your forearm. It could be thumb to the sky with your left hand, so that can be kind of fun. Feel the inner upper arms spin away from each other and create space between your shoulders and your ears. Option to lift your left leg and find balance that's going to require even more awareness in your right hand. It's not better to lift the leg, it's just an option. All of this is an ongoing experiment. 3 moments, just like this. Stamp your left foot down. If it left the ground, take your left hand onto your hip and then come to hands and knees. I'm going to spin around. You don't have to. We set it up on our hands and knees, and then we have left knee and left hand on the ground, left toes curled under, right foot flat, right hand onto your hip, and that left hip is hugging underneath you. Now, just like when we were on all fours, you don't want that hand so far out in front of you that it doesn't work for you, nor is it too close to you. So there's not quite an exact science to it, but you want to make sure it's not collapsing shoulder into ear. You're the expert of your own body, so you can stay here the whole time if that's what your expertise is suggesting. Option to take your right hand to the sky, thumb to the sky. Could be that you lift the right leg, but all of us are balancing a lot of effort into our left hand. And you might take a glance down and just make sure that inner part, the index knuckle, the thumb knuckle, are on the ground. And it actually helps with balance, particularly if you're lifting the leg to look down sometimes. 2 moments. Stamp your right foot down. Take your right hand onto your hip. Carefully make it hands and knees. And then take a moment in a child's pose. So maybe it feels better to you, here's your expertise again, to take your knees a little bit wider. Sit back onto your heels. You can keep the toes curled under or uncurl the toes, and then turn your palms to the sky. Open your hands wide here. Take a look at those beautiful hands of yours. Your hands open wide like they're ready to receive the gifts of the universe. A couple more moments here. And then slowly bring yourself up. Fold your blanket, at least I like to fold my blanket so that it's actually a bit of a higher, like almost a pillow. You could even use a pillow instead of a folded blanket. And this will be our perch. And once you come perched upon your blanket, extend your legs out in front of you. Just think of our Tadasana. That's the kind of posture that we want when we're seated. So we're not collapsed and rounding. Sit bones on our perch, ears over shoulders over hips. And then bend your right knee and place your right foot. Maybe it's more like the shin, or it makes its way up towards your left inner thigh. And if it feels like the right move, you can take one of your blocks or books and put it underneath your right thigh bone. So if this is feeling anything like more than a tiny bit of pressure on your knee, you probably would benefit from having a block there. And find your mountain pose once again in your posture. Take your arms in front of you as if you're going to hug someone, and bring your fingers together. Remember our very beginning, and then hands together, and make our little domes. We make our domes here as we sit in our figure 4. We keep breathing. That our posture is still tall. And be silent for a moment. And just bring your hands together, like maybe a little bit of a prayer. You can move that in front of your heart. If you want to stay here, perfect. If you want to bring your fingertips to either side of your left foot and hinge at your hip, to take a little bit of a stretch forward. That's great, just not rounding. And you can have that folded prayer shape in front of your heart instead of this if it speaks to you. A couple of moments just like this. Walk yourself up if you took the fold. Lower your hands if you're still in a prayer, and help it along. So right hand onto your right thigh, stamp your right foot onto the ground so your knees supported the whole way out, and then extend that right leg. Left knee bends, left foot, possibly more like the shin. Could be that it comes up into the inner thigh. Curl your right toes back towards you. Sit tall first like our mountain pose. And then fingertips together, a little dome, and then hands together and dome. And off we go. Keep breathing. Sit tall. Last couple of moments with this. Now bring your hands together. And you can just let the prayer come in front of your heart if you'd like, and stay here. Or fingertips frame your right foot, your right leg, and we hinge at our hip, just wandering forward and pausing. 1 minute of silence. slowly. Bring yourself up. If you took that little bit of a fold, lower your hands if you're still in a prayer. Help it along, left hand onto left thigh. Stamp your left foot, and then just let both legs waggle in front of you for a moment. We'll come off of our perch. So that means bend your knees and put your feet on the ground. If there are props, like maybe you had your block underneath your thigh, just move them out of your way as we get ready for our final two poses. You can move your perch off to the side as well, and then we'll lie down for a supine, which is a fancy way of saying lying down, twist. So let your arms go out to the side. You can think of your jazz hands with the backs of your hands against the ground here, and then both knees will just spill over to your right. If it feels good to you to pick up your right foot and cross it over your left thigh, you're welcome to do it. If that's too much, no need to do that part at all. A couple of moments here. And then if you did place the ankle on top of the thigh or the foot on top of the thigh, take it off carefully. Come through center. Spill both knees like windshield wipers over to the left. Totally great to stay just like this. If it speaks to you, remember you're the expert. Left foot on top of right thigh. And we pause. Now, if you did cross the ankle on top of the thigh mindfully, take it off, put it on the ground, come back to center for all of us, and let your knees fall together with your feet as wide as your mat. Gently, again, mindfully, lift your hips, elongate your spine, so it feels like you've got so much space for your low back, and either stay like this for your final Shavasana meditation, or extend one leg, and then the other. Feet flop open, palms to the sky. Imagine that you have warm water in those hands that worked so strong. And it's just dripping in between all of your fingers and into the floor. And reminding the rest of your body to do the same. Just to seep into the floorboards underneath you and totally let go. Shavasana. You're welcome to stay here in your final Shavasana meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready, make a fist and then open your hands and do that a couple of times and maybe even wiggle your toes while you're doing it. A little homage to the practice that we did today with our hands. And then bend your knees into your chest, roll over to either side, and come up into any comfortable seat. And once you're seated, palms up or down in your lap, aware of your hands in a different way. Maybe you'll be aware of your hands in a different way all day. Take a moment, just pausing as we finish. maybe making a silent prayer, like the prayer our hands are in, to be good to our hands and to extend them towards others, taking our yoga off our mat and into our lives. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I look forward to us doing it again soon.